Hello. Good morning or evening. How are you? Welcome, welcome. So welcome to those of you who are joining us live. Thank you so much for being here. And also those who are watching the recording. Thank you so much for popping in. So today's little info session about the Sensual Embodied Dance Facilitator training is pretty loose. And I've got some questions that have been sent in for a Q&A, but I also would love to offer those who have joined me live the opportunity to be front and center to ask their questions if they like. But I should start off because if you haven't met me before, I'm Holly Wadetsky. So lovely to be in this online space with you. Just hand it over to you. Any questions that you would like to throw out at the beginning? Otherwise, I will lead you into a little bit of a spiel and the questions that have been sent in. Was there anything that you had burning?
I'm just very much interested in this sensual expression because I like procrastinated that a lot in my youth or like in my 20s. So I'm like catching up.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's nice to get an impression and to just have an overall view and just get to know you a little bit. And
yeah.
So no pending question really, but
great. I love it. It's a great entry point though. Thanks, Gabby. Because I think a lot of people feel the same. And I can tell you a little bit of my backstory of, we do feel like we miss this essential part of sensuality and our femininity. And it kind of can be overridden by either pure promiscuity or just shut down that those parts of ourselves are not okay when we're young or they're dangerous or unsafe.
When you are a grown woman than when you are the young woman. So like, you know, how to deal with the guys and like feel safe in your body and like hold your space better. And it's like more safe to explore it in an easy way. It was like, topic. I had like 3 girlfriends who like were nearly raped or were raped. So it's sensitive topic society actually. To at one side it's free to explore again, and on the other side it's still like could be dangerous if not with that. So
and even if we are free to explore, we still carry the baggage of all the things that have happened to us before in our nervous system and bodies that are, they need attention and care also, for sure.
Very grateful for like embodiment teachers who dig into that and like extract what can be healing for these times.
Yes, for sure. Well, I've definitely seen over my time a lot of that transformation comes from women actually having a completely new relationship to what sensuality means to them, what sexuality, what the erotic means to them, that we have these ideas of, oh, it's, this, and it's, hamming things up and putting another layer on because that's all that we've been exposed to. And a lot of it in my work comes from this deep intimacy with ourselves that actually maybe it doesn't in our mind even identify as sensual, but from the outside it's like, wow, that is a sensual woman. That is somebody who's radiating a connection with herself, and that's actually what's very sexy. There was a woman in the facilitator training last year who she was calling me on and off of I'm a bit conservative, I'm not actually very like sexual, and that's not really who I am, and I don't know if I could do this. And like 3 weeks in, she was like, oh, it's not what I thought it was at all. Like, it's not this performative expectations, I have to be writhing in pleasure all the time relationship with my body. It's actually just that when I feel deeply connected with who I am and my body here and now in this moment, that I'm connected with the aliveness of life flowing through me. And that is incredibly attractive and incredibly flowing and oozing with like a lusciousness that people would say, that is sensual. But it's really about having that connection, and through your pores of your body, from like how you eat a piece of food, and it's like actually enjoying that moment and actually touching and feeling and actually, hearing the music and letting it permeate you. Sorry?
Breast massage can save the day.
Yeah.
like yoga because it's still like more masculine, but yoga is awesome too. So, but the breath massage is super easygoing, does not need lots of energy and calms you down, and also sensual, and yeah, very.
Yeah, and movement in general. You know, my background I was a long time rigorous yogi and meditator, and it was my partner at the time, like this was maybe 15 years ago. He was like, do you know, you're a woman, like maybe you just would like to dance, because I had been complaining about, like, I get what this consciousness thing is in meditation and this stillness, but I don't feel this like bliss aspect that, you know, is talked about in all these traditions. Like, I don't know what this juiciness is. I don't know what this bliss thing is. And he was like, maybe you should just dance. And so I swapped out, you know, my rigorous yoga practice that was very linear and dry and disciplined with, for 1 hour a day for an entire year, I put my music on shuffle and I just moved. And that was so revolutionary for me, because I felt something just awaken inside me that I had never felt before. And I just felt like I had to tell every single woman about this dance thing. Like, when you move your body and you like connect and you have this inner awareness, like amazing things can happen in your life. It completely transformed my relationship with my pleasure, with who I was, with what I wanted to do in the world. Like, I was heading for a chemistry job, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm off. Now I'm going to be a dance facilitator. And that's really where it started for me, this like love of what the body can experience and feel and express. And I think we undervalue that in society, of like, we're looking from the outside quite often, and like, what does it look like? Not, and even what just can it do, which also is also very amazing. But like, what can you feel? What are you capable of experiencing through your senses, through this tactile, visceral body that we have in every single moment? Like, your body doesn't go anywhere. It's not, you know, worrying about things in the past or projecting into the future. Your physical body is right here and right now. And so it's available to you in every single moment when we allow ourselves to slow down and drop in. So that was my sort of like beginning. And I just started, like, I didn't set out to be a facilitator or a teacher. I kind of just wanted to share with women, like, you have this amazing body and it can move and like you can feel things. And it was through more of a belly dance lens that it started. But I just started teaching these classes, and sort of, you know, a few people came. My mum came to classes, a few people came, and it was like slow in the beginning because I didn't know anything about running a business or getting things up off the ground. I just wanted to dance with whoever wanted to dance with me. And then, because like this was maybe 12 years ago, there was like nothing like this around. Like, Michaela Boehm was around in the early days at that point, but there was no kind of feminine embodiment, sensual embodiment, erotic dance in a wholesome way. There was none of that around at the time. And so it was like the wild, wild west of just trying things out. And I'm so grateful to the women who came to my classes back then, because, you know, they were just so open to like, yeah, let's just try this out. And I was able to just test so many and experiment with so many different practices and things that I made up from my own practice. And I would read about, you know, something in theater that we could adapt to belly dance, that we could like have some experience in the body of all different aspects. And, you know, nothing back then was trauma informed. Nothing was like had this understanding of the nervous system. There was none of that back then. It was all just super green and fresh. And I'm very grateful for that time, because it allowed me just to test ideas and refine and refine. And now there's a lot available around, you know, being able to look deeper into embodiment and somatics and how the body works and what are these underlying mechanisms. So this training, really, the facilitator training, is about passing on all those things that I learned, that I would love people to skip the trial and error phase and just get the really good stuff that I know now works, because I've been doing it consistently for years and years and years and years. And yeah, and that's how the Sensual Embodied dance methodology kind of formed, because I wanted people to have this like capacity to have this blissful experience in their body that often we can encounter randomly through dance or randomly through our lives in different activities that feels so, create so much elation in our body and so much ripples of beauty and graciousness through our lives, but we often just stumble upon it. We often just kind of, oh, that was amazing, like I really let go in that dance, I really let go in intimacy, or I really let go like tripping in the forest at a doof or something. But actually there's a process, there's a repeatable experience that you can create in the body that allows those natural conditions to happen, because it's a type of surrender. And in the same way as you can't force surrender to happen, you can't make a tree produce fruit, you can give it all the ingredients, the fertilizer, the soil, the right temperature, the water, the sunlight, all of these things, and then the plant naturally does what it is innately born to do, which is produce fruit. And so the same with our bodies, when we understand what are the mechanisms, what are the conditions within us that are conducive to this natural blissfulness, this sensuality, this graciousness to arise within us, then we can be open to that possibility, and we can go there again and again and again, and can make our life more like this dance rather than feeling like it's work, because that's often what life feels like. And I'm a mum and I've got a mortgage and a husband and all of the, I pay taxes and clean toilets and do all of those normal life everyday things. And still underneath those demands of life, there can be this access to this beauty and this sensuality and this like a stability that feeds you within your body through the connection with your body. And I feel like that's the most precious thing in my life, and something that I ideally want more and more people to have access to, because gosh, there's so many things that can throw us off center in our day-to-day life. And also from residual things from our upbringing and childhoods, so asking how can we come back to the body and create a stability there in the body, where even though things may arise and you feel, oh gosh, like that thing that I didn't say 10 years ago is suddenly here, or I feel like all the closure in my body over some interaction that reminds me of my childhood, and we may not even have awareness of these things, but the body is informing our day-to-day expression and how we show up in life. And if we can have this solidity in the body, this intimacy with how we are feeling, it just allows you to move through life in such a more harmonious way. It's like your body is well lubricated, so your life becomes lubricated. And yeah, so that's basically what I want to offer people if they would like to share the transformation that they've had in their life through embodiment, and to take that out into the world and pass it on. I would just love to share that with anyone who is interested. Yeah. Any questions? Otherwise, I've got some more questions that have been sent in and I can continue on with. Shall I continue on? Okay, wonderful. So I got a question that is about, can you do the Facilitate training as a personal journey, or is it purely professional? And it's, I would say, like 50% transformational life skills. That is like things that are essential to facilitating well, but are also just great for being a great human, because what is useful in you facilitating a big group of people is also very useful for you when you're a parent, or when you're, dealing with people in general. And then 50% is like practices that will transform you through your learning how to facilitate. So absolutely, it can be a professional journey and it can be a personal journey as well, and we welcome both. And initially I wasn't sure whether I would open it as a personal journey, but now that I've seen 2 cohorts go through the training, I was like, oh wow, this is like, it was much deeper in terms of the personal transformation than I expected. I was expecting people would relish in the skills that they acquired more, but this ability to, because we go into there's modules a lot about who you are as a person and what are the factors that you bring to the moment in your body, your vocal habits, your physical habits, the shadows that you have in terms of blind spots. What are the residual things that you don't have to clear, that you don't have to be gone of that, because everybody has those limitations in their life, but to be aware of them so that you don't bring them to the relationship in a facilitation container where you're projecting them or having transference with somebody, or not able to see and accept responsibility for something because there's a blind spot there. And through that whole journey of who you are as a person and then who you are as a facilitator, like how are you able to show up? How do you cultivate your capacity to deeply be with other people, to be able to sense them and feel them and read the room, and be able to access an aspect of devotion actually that allows you to step out of your individual personhood, not to eliminate it, but to step out of these are my needs in the moment, and to step into I'm offering myself to this moment as a gesture of devotion, and how do I show up in this act of devotion where I'm placing my importance on the people that I am with, rather than, oh, I still need to like tend to my inner things that are now. It's like I'm familiar with this, what my things are, and so how am I able to be deeply with other people in this moment, in this specific container of a facilitation, so that I can be of greater service, to kind of surrender your individuality to be with the group, to be deeply with the moment. So those things obviously create quite a ripple across your life, even outside of, you know, just giving classes or workshops or retreats or whatever. So yes, absolutely, it can be a personal journey. Is there a question in there? Okay, cool. And then another question was, can it be done one-to-one? So Sensual Embodied Dance is designed as group experiences, and in the specific methodology, it is for group classes. However, some women from the last training have been using it in one-on-one sessions, in coaching sessions, which doesn't use the full methodology. You're very welcome, if you undertake the training, to, once you're certified, is to cherry pick out the bits that you like, the bits that you find really useful or interesting, and you can fuse them with existing modalities, whatever it is that you're already trained in. And so a lot of people have taken sort of some of the more dance components around technical dance that opens the body in particular ways, that opens feeling and body-mind patterns, and they've used it in coaching sessions when, I don't know if you've had coaching or therapy sessions, when it kind of can get a bit gritty, like, oh, you know, we're really like down in the trenches now of like, what are the things that, you know, I felt in myself that are, you know, holding me back, and that kind of thing. And they're using some of the pleasure practices and the movements as a resourcing tool in between those explorations, so that the person that they're with can move their body in a way that allows them to feel more alive and connect to pleasure and the goodness in their body, and open up beyond those habitual patterns, whilst then also being able to transform some of the more uncomfortable things at the same time. So I don't specifically teach in the Facilitate training one-on-one sessions, but it has been done, and you're welcome to use it however you see fit. And of course, the facilitation skills are something that you can take into absolutely everything, in one-on-one, in personal life, parenting, relationships, the whole gamut. Yeah, cool. I will continue on unless you interrupt me. The next question was, what kind of people take the facilitation training? So there's kind of roughly 3 different groups. The first is people that I would call in the kind of helping professions. So coaches, therapists, psychologists, or teachers of various kinds. People who are already doing some sort of work that helps and supports other people. And then the second group is kind of people who are experienced in movement or embodiment, but they're looking for new depth or an effective way to structure their existing skill set. So one common thing that arises is people who may be like me in the beginning, I probably would have found my own training useful, is like very feminine, intuitive, like connected women who have amazing like sense of the body and the intuition, and they're really tuned into it. And the structure of how to place all that they intuitively know into an effective, repeatable structure. That's something that this training is very useful for, because it has a very nice balance of those kind of practices in a very like kind of a masculine structure and container to hold all that feminine goodness, because you get burnt out if you don't have the structure to support you over time. And it also doesn't allow you to be really effective in creating containers for your workload, particularly if you want to run like retreats or longer events. Knowing what the structure of the flow through the nervous system is in people's bodies will really allow you to go, I need to place these kind of practices in this progression across a timeline, so that people become ripe for their experiences and are not overwhelmed, nor are they kind of, twiddling their thumbs. That there's a structure, then there's a way that we can do this so that it's repeatable and it works every time. And it astounds me, honestly, that it works every time. And even now the graduate facilitators who are teaching classes, they're like, I just can't believe this works every single time. Like this progression of you do these kind of exercises, then these, then these, then these, and these. And, they understand, because we did it in the course, like what are the mechanisms that are happening in the body that allow this to happen? But it's still like, I still think it's like I'm still just bedazzled by the whole thing, that, yeah, it creates this progression, this ripeness in the body for transformation to happen. So the structure is really good for people who already are very tuned into embodiment. And then the third group of people is women who typically, and they just tell me at the beginning, it's like, I just love to dance, like I just love moving, or I love dancing as a child and I fell off the bandwagon, I felt disconnected from it. So it's often women who have some experience in dance or movement or transformation of some sort, but essentially they just love to move and they want to experience that more. And a interesting subset of that is we often have mums with young babies. So if anyone is thinking that I can't do it because I've got a 1-year-old clinging to my leg, actually you can. So it is available to, I'm very open to, I try and avoid my 4-year-old bombing during calls, which usually is good. But, if that happens, that someone enters the room or whatever happens, because embodiment is about bracing what is here and now in every moment, and not having perfect situations for things to happen, so that when everything is perfect, then I will feel this alive, blissful pleasure. It's like, no, in this moment, in this life where things are difficult and hard and uncomfortable, still you can connect deeply to yourself and feel this background of blissfulness and pleasure in your body. That we don't need to have perfect, you don't need to be living in Bali and be child-free and have no responsibilities to connect deeply to yourself. You can find it in every single moment. So that's available. The start date is the 25th of January. So if you are interested, it's kind of time to reach out to me and send me an email or a message. Either is great. And the course is 6 months long. It's got 12 modules, and half the modules are content modules around actual practices. So we'll cover, drop-in and warm-up practices, devotional erotic dance sequences, group embodiment exercises, relational practices, which is always everyone's favorite, being danced, which is about how to surrender into dance and to allow life to take a hold of you. This is my favorite. And integration practices. So they're the 5 modules that are about the actual practices of embodied, sensual embodied dance. And then the other, I can't count. That's it. There's 6 of those. And then there's 6 that are around facilitation, that are the actual skills of facilitation, which I think is quite unique to most trainings. A lot of, I've never taken a yoga teacher training, but what I hear from a lot of people is like, there's scripts and there's how to do things, and, you know, do X, and if Y happens, do Z, and those kind of things, that you get taught kind of a method that's somewhat prescriptive. And this course is heavy on the facilitation, like how do you show up in life? How do you read the room? How do you feel into people? How do you notice what is going on for someone and respond to that? Not in a prescriptive way, but because you yourself can deeply feel it, and be aware both intellectually of the different aspects and pitfalls of facilitation, but also, you know, deeply and viscerally feel it in your body, so that you're not having to follow rules in the moment, but you're actually having the experience of how to respond in the moment from a place of knowing that may not even be as rational as you might think. It's like, oh, well, in that moment, I could feel that this was, you know, what was needed to expand the group, or to lower the arousal in the room, or to lift things up. Then you can do that, responding to it through your own body as a informative navigational tool, rather than just thinking, oh, well, if X happens, do Y. So there's a lot in that, those facilitation modules that are around who you are as a facilitator, about the neuroscience of transformation. That's not just around trauma lens, but is also about neuroplasticity. You know, I get a little bee in my bonnet sometimes, because it's so great that trauma awareness has become much more prolific in these spaces. But I think, you know, what about the nervous system, for all the amazing things that it can do, like its capacity to change? Like, I don't see so much conversation about, you know, what are the what's the milieu, what's the ingredients required in the body for the same things that create, you know, maladaptive change of trauma, but for positive transformational change, of how you can, you know, cultivate this in your body to have amazing experiences and scaffold your nervous system for beneficial effects, not just avoiding trauma. So that's the neuroscience of transformation module. And then there is a trauma-informed practice, because despite what I just said, it's extremely important, especially in this work around sexuality and the erotic and sensuality, of all the pitfalls that can happen there, both in supporting individuals, but also as a facilitator, how you can make sure that you don't inadvertently and ignorantly, accidentally create poor effects with your facilitation and containers with your participants. And then there's also just lots of practical skills of all of the things that you might need when you go into actually giving classes, that, you know, you're fully equipped once you get to the end of the course to be actually giving classes. And the way that I've structured this training is that you have practice calls the whole way through. So you'll have 12. It gives you the opportunity to actually facilitate every single practice in the training, so that when you come to the end, you've actually already done every single part of the methodology. You've taught an entire class, just broken down over the 6 months, which means that nothing is new to you when you actually go out. All you literally have to do is invite some people to come to a class, and you're confident, you're ready to go out there and get started. Some of the really beautiful feedback that I've loved from past graduates that makes me really proud and happy is that some have said, you know, I've taken so many teacher trainings, but I've never actually taught classes. Like, I've loved doing all these different trainings, but actually getting over that inertia of getting out there and feeling confident to go and do the thing, that progression of this training has allowed them to just like really just glide into being able to teach classes and feel confident about doing that, because they've done it every single module during the training to prepare them for that. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I've talked a lot. So is there any questions? any little tidbits, because we might wrap it up now. I've got more questions that have been sent in. I'm sorry if I've missed your question that you've sent in. You can email me and I will just, actually, I'll just email you back and just let you know those final answers. But anything
Thank
else
you
for
so
those
much
who
for
are
that
here?
right?
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much for
much.
that. Yeah, I would probably starting with a dance class because I saw that on your website too. So,
Yeah.
but I'm informed. So as soon as maybe, but I don't know. I did a few teacher courses already, but not for like sensual dance, but like for sound healing and Reiki and a few things. I'm still not practicing, and I mean just personally, it's like a inner
Mm.
journey. But I'm in the process of maybe um starting this year now.
Ooh,
I
well,
said
I
it
wish you all the best.
this year. So yeah, probably in a dance class. Thank you so much for this information session. That's
Oh,
always
yes.
very interesting to like get a quick impression and know if it's vibing or what to expect and where to go. So thank you very much.
Beautiful. I'm glad. Thank you so much for coming. And I wish you all the best with your classes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So if anybody wants to is interested, they want more information, they want to reach out to me, send me an email or just DM me, or you can arrange a call and we can chat to get things rolling, because we do start at the end of this month. So I would love to hear from you if you're interested.